So this is going to be kind of a follow-up video to the one I did on KIDZ, I think it was a week ago. It's on market themes. So we have another one of these crypto treasury news stocks, ASST, made this massive move from 70 cents up to $7. So I had mentioned that on these ones, when there's a lot of volume, when it's part of a theme, I don't really put much emphasis on fundamentals. I don't really do much digging, but with it up this much, I obviously have to look into it. And from a dilution fundamental perspective, they actually yesterday were subject to baby shelf, and I think the amount they could raise was zero. They couldn't raise anything because the price was so low, 70 cents. So the amount they can raise is a function of their float value, which is their price and times float. However, their float value has gone up quite a bit because now the closing price is $7.70. So now they no longer have this baby shelf restriction, so they can raise up to $94 million. So in terms of what next, historically, they've used an ATM, so no registered direct or underwritten offering. So seems likely that they just put out another ATM because this one doesn't have a lot of capacity on it. And then also what will likely happen is that they'll file a new shelf within 60 days. The reason why is because they're over baby shelf now, but if the 60-day high closing price drops lower, which is going to most likely, they'll be subject to this baby shelf rule again. However, if they file a shelf while they're over this baby shelf limitation, then they won't be subject to that rule until the next time they file their 10K, which in this case, it's around March. So that means they would be not subject to that rule and could raise pretty much without limitation for almost another year. So that's what's looking like what's going to happen next. And obviously they still have to complete the merger. There's going to be a vote. Looks like they are trying to get it done by November. So in terms of how I traded it, it's funny because I actually mentioned last week on KDZ, I don't really trade these, but I kind of couldn't help myself. There was good odds that it would top out in this area here, just according to stats. But as I don't really go over a lot of trades in videos, but you may have seen, at least when I go over the ones that are trading ultra high volume, I just don't do well on those. As you can see here, you have these like reclaims. I tried here, it reclaimed, right here, it reclaimed, and then I was kind of done with it around there. Just because when the theme or not, when you have like this ultra abnormally high volume, you have some very, very sophisticated players involved, like the best of the best involved in these types of stocks, because there's so much liquidity, the best algos, the best funds, all of that. And that's who you're trading against. I mean, it's sort of like going and playing at a higher stakes table where the players are a lot better. So you can choose a different table, or I could choose a different table. This is just tough action to trade overall, regardless of your skill level. And then on top of that too, if you look at some other things, I did acknowledge this stuff beforehand. I guess one thing I didn't acknowledge or pay much attention to, luckily somebody from chat had mentioned this, was that MSTR was very strong. It was gapping up. And then also BTC, which is even continuing here, is very strong as well. And then also, if you look at the in our research channel, it's posted the day twos of these other sympathies, CEP, KIDZ, and JNBR. You can see here, this is CEP, pretty tricky day two. JNBR didn't have a whole lot of volume. And then KIDZ, which is kind of similar to ASST with the first move and then the gap up, also very tricky action. So probably some red flags I could have avoided. I thought it was worth. I thought it was worth the risk. If it does fail, there's a lot of downside on top of that. If they did put on an ATM, could cause it to go down further. So, but that's it on this